Good morning. Today is Saturday. Yay. And I don't have a ton planned today. It was going to be mostly a mentally recharge, doing a little bit of laundry, doing a little bit of dishes, and maybe some video games. I've been planning on restarting the Hogwarts Legacy game. I beat it once, playing a good character, and now I'm thinking about being a Slytherin because I'm hardcore Ravenclaw, definitely. Social anxiety, and book smart, Ravenclaw for sure, but only book smart in the subjects that I care about. Because try to get me geography or history or anything like that homeschooled here. I excel in math and computer science, and accounting uh, topics. But I'm not, sorry, not like accounting, just bookkeeping, because I only have an associate's in accounting. I don't know why oh yeah, so today's going to be fun. I have noticed a significant reduction over the last couple of days in the swelling. I'll admit I haven't worn the mask the last couple of nights. I also haven't slept on my back because I was like, I don't wanna. So, yeah. The last couple of days I have been um kind of thinking about like the hardcore thinking about how I might be undiagnosed autistic. I've just been, I mean, to be honest, I've been watching a lot of reels and just been relating to a lot of this stuff, and I'm wondering if I am ADHD, not just ADHD. Obviously, high masking and high functioning because I just I really super relate to the people don't understand me. And yesterday I had this thing happen at work that just was like, man, I get really upset when people don't understand me. And I feel the need to overshare and over explain all the time because my whole life I was misunderstood, and I suck at fucking communicating. Like I'm very, very, very literal, and I'm trying to put everything in my life in these little boxes and categories. I've even noticed in therapy, like I'm trying to understand why I am the way I am, and I feel like if I can understand why and make it make sense, then I can function better. I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, this last therapy session yesterday did not go as like I imagined. I thought I handled a situation that happened this week really, really well. And I was very proud of myself because I was like, I am not being as codependent. I am handling my emotions. I had a like emotional meltdown. I posted another video. It was last Saturday. I had kind of an emotional meltdown and I calmed myself down and regulated. But then well, I don't necessarily want to talk about all of that, but anyway, so I made a list of things to talk about in therapy, and I'm like, I'm on it today. I'm not going to just ramble today because I feel like I'm emotionally a hot mess all the time. Um, and so I was like, I'm going to be good. I have my list. I'm going to go through the list, but each thing on my list required like a story. So I start with the first thing on my list, and my whole therapy session was just on that one thing. So it's a good thing I have therapy today. Um, but yeah, I um I have gotten prescribed new medication um to help so for those of you who don't know, getting medication for ADHD is incredibly hard, and then depending on what type of ADHD you have and your body chemistry, because there's many different types. I have hyperactive and impulsive, the kind of classic ADHD, but a slightly more it's ironically very obvious. Like my ADHD is incredibly obvious if you know about ADHD. It's so freaking obvious, and if I had not been homeschooled and actually had teachers in my life that could advocate for me, I could have been diagnosed at a much younger age. So that fucking sucks. Yeah. This is why I hate homeschool. Was homeschooled, and maybe I should just like share a long video about my childhood because it was very fucked, and I definitely need to process a lot of that stuff because I've just spent my whole life avoiding thinking about it, trying to move on and handle things I can control. But there's a lot of pain and trauma that I haven't resolved and recognized. And I'm trying to unpack all of these feels that I have buried my whole life. And it has made me feel unstable because feeling trauma and grieving is hard and it messes you up. And yeah, so I'm trying to do it in a way where it's safe so that I don't snap or have like I can't, a no spoons. I can't have a day with no spoons when you gotta work. Um I said that at work one time because okay, so the way my work is, they're pretty flexible when it comes to arriving. They after COVID, half or more than half of the people work remotely. I have a position that requires me to be on site a little bit more. It's just easier for me as I guess part of the admin team. Anyway, so so I work and I actually prefer to work in office. It's easier for me to stay focused. I got my screen set up, I got my whole everything. So I don't mind. But I take a lot of time to get moving in the mornings and I have been able to like push past it, but I've been trying to give myself the space to recognize my ADHD and give myself what my nervous system and body needs. My nervous system and body needs more time to wake up in the morning to function better. So I've been getting up at like 5:30 the last couple of weeks. I haven't been able to exercise because I'm still recovering from my surgery. I could have probably started on Thursday this week and I just wasn't having a no spoons week for sure. I don't know if that's hormones or if it's meds or what, but I just have had didn't really feel like doing anything. That's kind of the whole fucking problem. The thing that I want to get over. And I get really triggered when it feels like my therapist is upset with me or frustrated with me because I'm not getting something. And it's like I'm 5 years old again. And I'm like, I can't do it. I really am trying. I swear I'm trying. And why am I so bad at life? And it's like on the surface, it seems like I'm doing great. One of the, sorry, I know I'm a hot mess. I know I don't finish my train of thoughts. I know that I switch. I've watched my videos. I was like, man, I fucking switch like crazy. Like I'll be talking about one thing, I won't even complete what I'm saying, and I switch to a completely different topic. Now, that's just fucking a small little taste of how chaotic my brain is. Just a little bit. And I need to acknowledge that I actually have done a fuck ton and done a pretty good job at surviving up to this point. You know, it took me 8 years, but I completed college. It was 4 associate's degrees. I never got my bachelor's degree, but whatever. I changed my major so many freaking times because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I mean, if I had been not homeschooled, I probably would have had a better idea. Wouldn't have had to do so many makeup remedial classes. Like I started in pre-algebra and went all the way to calculus because I had no math background. But as soon as I started taking classes in a formal classroom setting, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually smart. I just needed the actual schooling because I am not a sit down with a book and do the work by yourself person. I actually learn better audibly. So being in a lecture in a classroom was helpful for me. And taking notes and being able to like hyper focus and study those notes. If I was allowed of pages notes, I usually would do really well on the test. I tested well. But that's because I had to cram and study like the night before and my working memory is shit. But if I stare at the paper with all the formulas on it and I just stare at it and I just like I'm memorizing. And then I had to put the page of notes away right before the test if we weren't allowed a page of notes. If we were allowed a page of notes, I was golden. So I got through college because I had the most amazing professor who was a big inspiration to me in just her goofiness because she literally used to be a clown. She's like, I went to clown school and she acted like it. And she was just so animated and so quirky and fun. And I loved her. I took her all through college. I started with pre-algebra with her and went all the way to business calculus. And I loved her all the way. And she, like, I almost dropped one of her classes because I was like up all night writing an essay. I was so exhausted. I didn't have time to study for the trig test. And I knew I wasn't going to do well on the test if I didn't study for it, just because it was a heavy formula test. And I emailed her and I was like, hey, I don't think I can do this. Like, I'm so exhausted. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I just don't think I can do this. I think I'm going to drop the class because I can't do it. I dropped so many classes just because I felt overwhelmed and I was getting a B in the class because fucking stupid. Fucking, I used up a lot of my Pell Grant dropping classes because I thought I needed to give that perfect grade point average because I'm a fucking idiot. Perfectionist that's like I didn't get to practice going to school, so like if it's not perfect, it's not worth it. So yeah, that I made it. It just takes me so much longer than everybody else. I mean, made it. I mean, like, I have a job that's considered a professional job and I am surviving and my bills are paid, that kind of thing. But mentally, I'm like barely hanging on. It feels like some days. So anyway, one of the reasons why I wanted to post more videos, there's a couple of reasons. One, I want to normalize being a hot mess because I feel like it's more common and everybody wears a fucking mask and I need to unmask so I can figure out who the fuck I am. So this is me trying to unmask. This is me going, hey, look, I'm surviving, but it's not easy. It's a hot mess and maybe other people out there can relate and feel not so different, you know? And this is helpful for me because for whatever reason, I have this mental block and I can't journal and I can't be introspective unless I'm making a video. So I do recognize that I'm sharing a lot of personal stuff publicly, and maybe at some point I will have the mental energy to edit and really think about what I'm posting before I post it. But it's like, this is the only way I can do it right now, and it's actually helping me. I feel like it's helping me work through stuff. And so I'm going to keep doing it. Like specifically in the mornings when I'm drinking my coffee, it's been a really nice little ritual. And there's been some videos that I haven't posted because I was like, okay, I talked about some stuff that's a little bit personal, so I'm not that impulsive. Sorry. Evil laughter. I don't know. Like, it's helping me figure out who I am and working through some of the stuff that I've been struggling with. I recorded the long video about it and I didn't post it because I was afraid of the backlash. But I'm struggling with my weight loss. I'm losing weight and everybody's telling me, oh my gosh, you look so much prettier. You know, you look so great. You're losing weight. And the more I lose weight, the more I don't feel like myself because I have been overweight since I was 10 years old. Like, I've been plus size since I was 10 years old. And I'm finally getting to that point where I'm more mid-sized than plus size. And I'm like, it's so weird for my brain. And it's like, my identity is changing and I'm like redefining myself. And it's like, I have always been the funny frat friend and, you know, that awkward, goofy weirdo. And I've kind of owned it and had that be kind of like my persona. Like, I felt like, okay, I don't fit in. I'm not normal, but I will own it. And so I've kind of gone with that. And it's got me through my 20s and 30s when I realized how different I was. I just found other weirdos to be friends with. You know, I was a classic theater nerd, music theater and choir and drama. And that was my like crew, was all the weirdos. And I was like, you know what? That's awesome. We can be weird together and dysfunctional. And so I kind of just like, that was but as I entered adulthood, maintaining those friendships and trying to connect. I grew up in a very big family, so I get like lonely, and want more social interaction. At the same time, I definitely enjoy coming home to a house where there's not 12 people. I love my family to death, but it can be exhausting being around them. Um, and I would tell all, and they would all agree. Like when all, 10 of my siblings are in the same space with my parents and all of the husbands and, or sorry, spouses, not all husbands. There is 7 girls and 3 boys. Not everybody has a significant other, and then there's a couple of nieces and nephews in there. But when we're all, or even just a majority of us all in one space, it's so loud and so chaotic, and it's kind of it feels a little bit like home, but then like it's overwhelming, and they're like, okay, one night of this is good, and now I'm gonna go home to my silent place where I can zone out and relax and not have to think about all the craziness. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with that, but so I'm a little bit afraid. I was planning today, I have therapy today, talking about me suspecting that I might be slightly on the spectrum. Um, and it's affecting mostly my interactions with people, like not understanding certain social cues, over explaining, the being, I have weird sensory issues, but that could be ADHD as well. Like I don't like great temperature changes. Like it makes it like I really don't want to take a shower because I don't want to get wet. Not because I don't want to take a shower, because once I'm in the shower, then I don't want to get out of the shower. It's so that's one big one. Like I will put that off and put that off when I know I need to do it. I just really don't want to be all cold and wet, and it's weird. So there's little things like that. I'm also sensory seeking, which is different than traditional autism. Traditional autism, the stereotypical one, the one that people are more familiar with, is like you you struggle talking at all. Some people are nonverbal, um, but you are completely inept socially. And I do have some ability to read people. I just don't understand all social scenarios. I don't understand when something is and isn't appropriate always. I blurt shit out that I shouldn't. I overshare information that I probably shouldn't, and then later I agonize about it. All those things could just be, impulsive, hyperactive ADHD. So I'm really excited about the medication that I got. So they can't prescribe me a stimulant. And I think I just needed someone to explain why they were making the decisions, because if I don't understand why, I feel like I'm not being understood or not being listened to. My previous psychiatrist was like, we're just going to wait until your mood stabilizes before we try a new ADHD medication. And I didn't understand why. And there was a reason why, because and if I get that, oh, because the chemicals need to like settle before we switch meds, okay, fine, I can wait. But it just felt like he didn't want to do anything. And then because I was trying to find something that helps, I started taking supplements to help me manage my ADHD. I was trying to do everything I could to help me manage the symptoms. So I started taking a vitamin B supplement. I started taking an what's it called? L-thiazine or whatever. It's an amino acid that's supposed to help with dopamine production. Um, and then I was like, you know what? I have, as previous, like since I've gotten the sleeve surgery, I have less vitamin absorption. Not as bad as the gastric bypass, because that one you don't have a stomach at all. I still have a stomach. It's just smaller than, it's like the size of a banana versus the size of a regular stomach. So the time the food spends in my stomach is less. So I have a less ability to absorb certain things. Um, there's also okay, sorry, focus, stay on one train of thought, So anyway, uh, so when I told my psychiatrist about like, oh, I'm trying to take these supplements, he was like, okay, well, let's see how that goes. And like I was explained how hard it is to get stimulants, and it feels like they're just assuming I want stimulants. I don't fucking care what meds I'm on. I just want it to fucking work. I want to be able to think clearly, and seeing the huge difference in my husband now that he is on meds and he's able to think and concentrate clearly, I'm realizing just how freaking incapacitated I am with brain that's all over the place. It's so hard for me to think clearly, or even just like, and I have to do something to calm my brain down, to slow it down in order to relax. Otherwise, I cannot relax. So every day I come home and I'm like so overwhelmed and drained and I can't do anything else. And it's just been like that for almost ever, it feels like. Um, and maybe that's why it helped me to work out in the evenings, because I would come home and feel more capable. It's just, I would get way less time with my husband, especially now that he gets off at 3 and I get off at 5 if I get to work on time. Um, if I don't get to work on time, I have to work later to get the 8 hours. That was the other thing with the interaction that was weird with work is I've been told that as long as we get there between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., that, we're allowed some amount of leeway. We are supposed to like let them know if there's going to be some change. Like sometimes you can go to a doctor's appointment, come in at 9 and then work until 6 or whatever. Or you can come in, work the majority of your day, and then if you have an appointment, you can go to your appointment and then work the rest of your shift at home or something like that. It's very flexible. It's very nice. But because I have the receptionist likes to know where everybody is, and I don't always know when I'm going to have a day where it just takes me longer to get to work. It's not like I don't know. I'm about to start new meds, so hopefully that will. But since I've been allowed the flexibility, that urgency, the deadline, because they're forgiving of the deadline all summer. My schedule was super fluctuant because we have the ability to work 9 hours and then have only a half day on Friday, or we work 10 hours and then we're off on Friday. Working 10-hour shifts, it's too hard for me with work, also coaching and trying to get in other stuff during the day. Anyway, this is a 21-minute long video, so I will stop it here, but I'm still working through shit, but I'm not gonna stop trying, and I'll get it eventually. And I have overcome and improved a lot, and I got to keep recognizing that, because all I can see are areas where I'm lacking, or that's all I focus on, and I've just got to keep reminding myself that it's okay to not be okay, and I'll get it. And yeah, therapy today hopefully will be good. I'm afraid to bring up I think I might be on the spectrum, because there's just so much other shit that I'm dealing with, getting on new meds and which I'll start on Monday. It's not a stimulant, what I was prescribed. My psychiatrist explained how, it's like, I'm so fucking all over the place. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Wellbutrin, which is an antidepressant that is very effective for ADHD because it helps with dopamine, and it can kind of help your brain, help with focus. It's much better. I'm on Zoloft right now for depression and anxiety, and that has helped me manage the depression and anxiety, but it doesn't do much for my motivation and ADHD paralysis and focus when things don't interest me. And I used to think, oh, I don't have trouble with focusing, but every time I got to switch task, it takes me like a whole amount of time to get recentered on the task I was working on. And I'm in a job where I get interrupted. Thankfully, not as much as other jobs. When I was a receptionist, I'm not a good receptionist at all. At all. I will totally own up to it. If I have tasks to manage while constantly being interrupted, I'm just like, I immediately I double booked people because I was in charge of facility rentals as well as receptionists, and I just couldn't handle that. I couldn't remember, like literally I'd look at something and then I'd have to repeat what I'd looked at, and I couldn't, because maybe that's an exaggeration, but my working memory is very bad. It's very bad. And I don't try to, people will go, oh, can I just tell you this? And then you can go write it down. I was like, no, you can't give me audible anything. Please Teams it to me so I can copy and paste it and make sure it's exact. So I had to collect passwords for this thing I was doing at work, and I'm reaching out to everybody, and one person didn't want to type it to me. And I get that, because it's like, oh, you're putting up, your password in writing. And I'm like, I get that. But now I'm paranoid I'm going to get it wrong. And then there's going to be all this awkward interaction with the people who needed the password, the IT people or whatever, if it's wrong. And then I have to be like, I am the help desk person and I can't even get a password correct. Ugh. So all that anxiety, I was like, I really just wish you would type it to me. And then if it's and then I just copy and paste it, and then, like, if it's wrong, it's not my fault. I don't know why that stupid shit like that bothers me so much, but it's like I care a lot about accuracy. I love putting things in boxes in my head, like, and I need to understand why we do things. I also hate it when, like, I'm shown how to do something by one person, and then a different person is reviewing my work, and they don't give me consistent criticism. Like, I don't mind criticism on my work, but if I feel like I understood the instructions and I did it how I was explained to do it, and then I get different feedback that I was like, hey, I wasn't told that I was supposed to do this part of the project, and now I'm getting criticized for doing something I didn't understand how to do in the first place. And there's been a lot of situations that have happened like that at work, and I feel like if I had known how to do it, I would have done it correctly. So I get like really flustered and anxious, and my heart rate gets up, and I if I feel like, oh, I did something wrong when I wasn't trying to, and it's like a big deal, and I get really upset about it, and no one else fucking cares. Like, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just fix it. It's not a big deal. But I feel like I need to respond. Like, I got 2 kind of long emails going in depth on a work that I did about things that I didn't do right in the work. And it's normal part of the process of our workflow. And I don't think anybody expects me to respond, but I want to, like, okay, respond to each one and be like, hey, I did this for this reason. Hey, I did this for this reason. Okay, now I'm not going to do that now that I understand. Like, I feel like I needed to, like, defend myself. And it's more like, it's just because it's because I'm helping with a task that is not a task I do regularly, which is when you work in an accounting, everything's annual. So for me, who have a horrible working memory, and I try to take good notes, but it's like, you gotta, the tasks that I have done better are the ones where I have taken screenshots, but that's assuming that we don't change the process, which often happens. And then I'm never in the meeting about, oh, hey, we're changing the process. And no one tells me. And I find out when I think maybe I need to talk to my manager and be like, I feel like when I'm helping with these things, I feel like I'm missing the training that everybody else gets, because I'm not really, this isn't a task that I was initially supposed to be doing. It's just, I don't have work, so they're giving me work to do. And anyway, sorry, it's now almost 30 minutes. So I'm going to stop and relax. I was going to play Harry Potter Legacy, or Hogwarts Legacy. So I'm going to do that and calm down, but I'm still working through shit. It's okay. I'm okay. Everything's fine. Today's a fun day. All right. Have a good Saturday.